Hello, everyone. My name is Liz Talbert, and I'm the Executive Director at the Alliance for Safe Kids. And I'd like to welcome you to #WalkTheTalk's first Webinar Wednesday. Tonight's webinar is Achieving Wellness Through Playing and Self-Care, home tools and tips for adults and children to help lift us up and bring us together during this new normal, and will be presented by Crystal and David Zykowitz. Crystal and David are members of the Yorktown community, and combined they bring years of professional experience to this presentation, as Crystal is a licensed clinical social worker with a master's in education, and David is a credentialed alcoholism and substance abuse counselor. And before I turn things over to Crystal and David, I'd like to share a few housekeeping items. The webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you, and a quick survey will follow. And I would ask that you just take a few moments because that will be so helpful in us planning future presentations. The chat room that you see on the right side of your screen will be set to private once the presentation begins, and you may add any questions that you have there, and Crystal and David will answer them as the presentation moves along. I now have the pleasure of introducing Crystal and David Zykowitz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Crystal Zykowitz. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, as Liz said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker with a master's in special education and childhood education. I spent 15 years working as an educational consultant, working with children with autism and their families. After that, I spent 8 years at a local domestic violence agency, Hope Store, providing therapeutic services to women and children who experience domestic violence. After that, I spent 5 years working at Phelps Hospital, 3 years as a social worker, working on the behavioral rehab unit, working with patients who had both mental health and substance abuse issues, and then 2 years as an intake coordinator, assessing those who were interested in our program. Now I currently have a private practice. David?
Oh, hi. How's everybody doing tonight? I actually wanted to, first of all, thank Liz and Patrick and the Alliance for Safe Kids for giving us this platform. It's an opportunity to provide valuable information and resources for the community. We're happy to do this. Yet we have a lot of experience in the field, and we're living in challenging times, and even before challenging times, people need some tips on how to live their lives better and how to be well. I am a alcohol and substance abuse counselor. I've been practicing in the field, licensed for the past 8 years. I do work at Phelps Hospital, where there is a behavioral rehab unit there. We treat patients who are struggling with co-occurring substance use disorder and mental health issues. I myself am in recovery from drug addiction for going on 13 years now. So I learned as much as I can about what's going on. I teach it and I live it. So that's where my experience comes from, and I have a passion for it as well. Okay, so we're going to skip through here. Should we, Crystal, are we going to just skip, go one slide at a time here?
It's all you, David.
Oh, boy. What happened? I lost the slide. Patrick, I lost the PowerPoint on my side. Ah, there it is. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to slide. Oh, what do I do? What am I doing wrong? I keep hitting the wrong button, I think. Okay, I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay, my bad. I got it now. All right, that's Blue Sky Counseling Associates. That's Crystal's practice. It has all the information there, guys. We have a website. Yep. How do we go from this, right? Is this how we're feeling, or some of us, or all of us? I think some of us, we feel this way almost every day now. It's like the new normal, right? Sometimes we just, we get up and we're like, why? What is going on? And how do we deal with this, right? And then we want to go back to this, right? Which is Zen. We want serenity. We want peace and serenity in our lives. We just want to be able to be happy and be able to live our lives on a daily basis and just keep moving forward. But there seems to be a lot more obstacles going on these days. And so I think it's important that we figure out what those obstacles are, identify the obstacles, and then try to come up with some plan to overcome the obstacles, or at least sidestep them. Yes, we can. So that's okay. Now we're going to move into the meat and potatoes here. So, before we talk about wellness, right, we have to talk about why do we need wellness, right? And this is what's happening, right? And it's this thing called angst, right? What is angst and what causes it, all right? So I wrote, we have a definition of angst here on the slide, which is a deep feeling of an unhealthy fixation on anxiety, fear, and dread about the well-being of self, family, community, the country, and the world. There are certainly varying degrees of angst. We can have moderate, mild to moderate angst and still be able to manage our lives and still be able to go through our lives and take care of the regular daily tasks, whether they be simple or complex. It's the problem comes in is when our angst goes up a few notches and goes into, it's more significant or severe angst. And that gets in our way of actually trying to, solve, even the mildest of daily life tasks. Okay, so what are some of the things that cause angst? Now, this is just an outline. I mean, I can do a whole hour seminar on what causes angst, but we're gonna do a little bit of an outline here. So some of the causes of angst. Okay, so what is going on in your life, really, that might cause angst? And everybody's story is different. You have your own story. It's an individual story, and it's a family story, right? Each family and each individual has dealt with life or has life things and events that have happened to them. So it's really up to you to really define what your angst is and where it comes from. So negative and distorted thinking as a result of witnessing or experiencing a significant traumatic life event or events, such as death of a loved one, and I'm sure we've all experienced that. Or certainly not all of us, but the older you get, unfortunately, the more, unfortunately, people do start to pass in this part of life. Anybody ever been in a car accident or witnessed a car accident or any type of significant accident, in a car or not in a car? Anybody, if you're a victim of abuse, physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, it's interesting, people hear about abuse and trauma, and they think it's got to be something really significant, right? But even the emotional abuse can be really devastating for somebody, right? If you're a young child and you're growing up and you're getting a lot of negative, parenting, negative feedback from people that you're looking up to bring you up in this world, and they're just constantly berating you and putting you down and telling you're no good and, you're a failure or you're a loser, right? That has a significant impact on somebody as they move forward in life and as they grow up. That can have a significant impact on somebody's self-esteem. And we're going to talk about self-esteem here as well. And, when you have really bad self-esteem or low self-esteem, that creates a whole nother set of other, bad decisions and negative consequences, right? Being bullied, certainly, this is, I know there's, hopefully there's some children watching, some young kids watching with their parents. Hopefully you'll show this to your kids. There's a lot of this bullying. Bullying's been going on for forever, right? But there's a new type of bullying now, the modern bullying, which is the cyberbullying. So have you been a victim of bullying, or, have you been a victim of bullying, but not the actual victim, actually pulled into it because you were afraid to get bullied yourself? So you joined in and you bullied somebody else. So these are significant traumas. Of course, what is it that we're dealing with right now, which is the coronavirus. The coronavirus is certainly causing enough angst for everybody. If you have it, or you got it, someone in your family has it, or if you know somebody that had it, do you know somebody that got seriously sick from it? Do you know somebody that died from it? A lot of angst going on around the coronavirus, a lot of uncertainty still, and a lot of mixed messaging. from the professionals, the scientists, from the politicians, from both sides. You just don't know what to believe, so it creates a lot of angst. Sadness and depression resulting from isolation. Isolation's a big one, right? We're looking at this, fear of being alone, and that could drive us to making a lot of bad decisions, right? I've certainly in my life made some bad decisions because I was afraid of being alone. Staying in a relationship too long, in a relationship that's really not good for you or it's abusive, is one example of that. So fear of isolation, loneliness kind of ties into the isolation, because if you're isolating yourself and you're alone, you feel lonely. Lack of structure and purpose. Certainly the coronavirus has thrown us all into this loop where our regular routine has been completely disrupted. So what do we do with that? We have to do something about that. We're going to talk about that as far as coping skills, but a lack of structure, lack of purpose, low self-esteem. There it is. That's a big one. That meaninglessness and purpose, kind of go hand in hand, especially if the coronavirus has caused, a loss of a job, or, money issues, financial issues, or issues putting food on your table and things like that. That can really have an effect of, asking that question of why, what is going on? Why am I here? Death, of course, is certainly out there, especially with the coronavirus. We are afraid. We have a fear, certainly. A perceived lack of freedom, or, certainly we feel like, some of our freedoms have been taken away, right? I mean, we've been home for a while. We haven't been able to go to the movie theaters. We haven't been able to go out to dinner. I mean, they certainly started to open things up around our area here in Westchester County in New York, but there seems to be a spike. So now they're going to close things up again, right? And you can see in the country where you have a lot of people who are talking about that freedom thing, right? Which is tied into not doing the things that we should be doing to try and curtail the spread of this virus. So that perceived lack of freedom causes some negative consequences, right? Existential guilt. And it's, I wrote here, it's a distorted core belief. Now let's just describe that for a second. What the heck does that mean? I'm not going to throw all this, technical, theoretical jargon at you guys, but distorted core belief. So a core belief is something we believe truly about ourselves, in ourselves, deeply and strongly. And distorted, of course, means it's unclear, it's untrue, or it's false. So a distorted core belief, okay? That feeling of never being good enough, or failing to meet your own expectations or the expectations of others, or that it's a distorted perception that you're not achieving your goals in life or your potential. And that if we wake up every day and we feel about, in ourselves, in our core, that we're not reaching our full potential in life, or that we're never good enough, right? That's a problem. I mean, then we have this existential guilt, and that existential guilt, resentment and guilt and shame, it kind of grinds us inside and in our heads, right? And okay. So a little bit more about the distorted core belief, because I know, I've been trained and I teach this to my clients at the program, CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a therapeutic approach, and we do at Blue Sky Counseling, we also implement CBT. But it's a therapeutic approach that teaches you how to identify where the distorted core belief is coming from, challenge the negative and distorted thinking, and then replace it with more positive thinking and rational thinking. So that's a little bit about CBT. Basically, if we're going through life and we have distorted core belief in ourselves that we're not good enough, then what's happening is that we're looking at life through a distorted lens. So any life events that we happen to have experience with, any daily tasks that we have to face and come across and solve, if we're looking at those things through a distorted lens, then we have a distorted perception of what's going on, and it really impacts and impedes our ability to positively, solve all these things that we need to solve so we can live our lives. Okay. All right. I think we can go to the next slide, which is Okay, the guy in the hamster wheel. I love the hamster wheel. Results of angst, right? Unmanageability, and this is what I was talking about previously, which is if you have this overwhelming angst, right? If you have angst on the scale that goes up to a severe angst, then we have a problem, right? Because then we have unmanageability, life unmanageability, right? We are not able to perform even the most mundane life tasks, like getting up in the morning, going, taking a shower, shaving, getting dressed, making a meal, driving to the post office to drop off a letter, taking our kids to school, or helping our kids get on the computer, or helping our kids with homework, on and on and on. So you get the point. Unmanageability, an individual's inability to manage, handle, face, overcome, and solve life's simple and more complex daily tasks. And if we can't get a grasp on angst that's severe, then we are going to continue to have the unmanageability in our lives. And the progressiveness is basically saying, as the individual continues to struggle with managing daily life tasks, the angst worsens. So it kind of ties into each other, and that's why I have the hamster wheel pictured here. It's a human in a hamster wheel, and you're basically, you keep pedaling and you're not going anywhere, right? I know if there's anybody old enough and who remembers the Flintstones, the cartoon, the Flintstones, right? And you remember they used to get into their car and they used to move their legs, but the car didn't go anywhere. Well, that's what the hamster wheel is like. You're moving your legs and you're not going anywhere. You feel like you are, but you're really not. The angst is causing the obstacle to complete the life tasks, and the inability to complete the life task is causing more angst. So it kind of connects and revolves into each other, and that's the hamster wheel theory. So basically it becomes very difficult to perform life tasks if you're trapped in this hamster wheel. And sometimes we get trapped in the hamster wheel, we don't even know we're in there, and it's hard to ask for help if you don't know that you even have the problem. Which brings us to our next screen, which is away from the dread of the angst and into the solution, which is what can I do about it? Because that's the other part to this. We have to recognize what we have and then try to do something about it. So number one on my list, of course, is acceptance, right? When we look at change, right, and if we having some serious, significant issues in our lives that are making our lives unmanageable on any level, in any phase of our life, well, then we have to say, I got to change something. Something's got to change, right? Well, there's got to be change comes in stages. There are stages to change, right? And actually, the first stage of change is, they call it pre-contemplation, which is really denial, right? Which is, you don't even know you have the problem yet, or you're not even accepting the fact that you have a problem, right? That's actually the first stage. So the next stage, of course, is, you start to move into this acceptance mode where it's, hey, there's something wrong here. I do have a problem. Maybe I'm not ready to do something about the problem, but there is a problem that exists, and I'm going to recognize that, right? And then we move forward into, I accept that I have a problem. Now I want to do something about it, right? So I know I have a problem. I'm motivated to do something about the problem, right? And that's awesome. That's a great place to be, right? That's half the battle. But here's the problem. There's another part to that, which is the other half to that battle, right? And that's the action step, right? Unless we start to understand, what we need to do and take the action steps to change, then we're not going to change. So as we move forward here, overcoming obstacles to change, in order to make positive changes, we need to identify the obstacles that might be in our way, right? Such as pride. Pride, which means I'm afraid to ask. I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to seem weak. That's an obstacle to change. Fear and anxiety we talked about in the last slide, right? Having fear and anxiety certainly can stop us if we are, have social anxiety and we don't want to go out of our house, then that's a problem, right? Or if we have social anxiety and we don't want to go to a party because of our social anxiety, then we miss out on an opportunity to meet new people and network and find new opportunities in life. Procrastination, putting things off, obviously, right? Low self-esteem and isolation, boredom, lack of structure. We've already talked about those things. So those are the obstacles. And then, of course, like I said, where's identifying the source of the problem? If I have anxiety, where's that coming from? And that's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of times, a lot of people in my travels and my experience and what I do, a lot of people who have really bad anxiety, they tell me a lot of the times, most of the time, they can't even identify where their anxiety comes from. They don't even know. And, so we have to figure out, and that's the thing, right? If I don't know where even my anxiety is coming from, then why am I so anxious? So we have to work on challenging that anxiety and then, trying to move forward from it so we can start to do things with our life. One of the things, one of the questions we can add, let's say in the example of if, we have social anxiety and we don't want to even go to a party or a social event, right? Some of the questions we can ask ourselves is, what's the worst can happen, right? What is the worst that can happen? If you go to that party and you feel like you're uncomfortable and you don't fit in, then you could just leave and go home, right? It's not that big of a deal. And then what can happen, right? Well, like I said, you can go to that party and you can meet new people, you can network, maybe there's a job opportunity that's waiting for, who knows, right? But you don't have the opportunity to get those things if you stay at home because of your anxiety, right? Fear of getting in a car because you think the car is going to crash, fear of getting in an airplane because you think the airplane is going to crash, right? But we have to challenge that. We have to ask ourselves, well, what are the chances of that actually happening? And they're quite minuscule, as we know. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. What can I do about it? And we're going to move forward to the next screen, which is the healthy coping skills. I have my picture here, which is the glass half empty, glass half full approach. This is a typical, thing that we do here when we're talking about CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. We're changing, we're challenging our thinking, and we're trying to change our thinking, right? And it's the classic example of the glass. Is the glass? How do you perceive that glass? When you look at a life event, when you look at something in your life, and you see the level of water in that cup, and if you're looking at it as either half full or half empty, ask yourself the question: what happens to the level of water in that cup? Well, the answer is nothing. It doesn't change. The level of water in the cup stays the same whether you're looking at it as half empty and half full. So CBT is basically teaching us to say, you might as well look at the cup as being half full, because looking at it as half empty or half full doesn't change that level of water, if that makes sense to you. So that's my little cup strategy. Okay. Let's move forward here. Improving social connection. Obviously, if you're having problems in this age, right? There's challenges with that because we can't go to parties, we can't go to movie theaters, we can't. So how do we improve our social connection in this age of COVID? And there is ways to do that. I know that people do, they do Zoom and they connect with friends and peers and things like that. So finding a way to improve our social connection. Challenge and replace our negative thinking and belief systems, which is what we've talked about with the CBT. Exercise. Exercise to me is one of the best coping skills there is out there. Get moving, get the body moving, walk, run, get some dumbbells for your home. I know the gyms are closed. Get the, tension ropes, you work, get the blood moving in your body, get the oxygen going to your brain. Get the endorphins pumping into your neurotransmitters firing. Sweat out the toxins, exercise, walking, hiking, take your family out, go for a nice hike it's beautiful out, the fall, the leaves, the colors, go apple picking. So many things we can do, guys. Making a gratitude list, obviously, always, I'd say every day, daily. In a journal, make a journal. What am I grateful for today? Focus on the things that you have instead of the things that you don't have. That's the importance of the gratitude list. I'm alive. I have family. I have food, shelter, and clothing. Even the basics, right? Positive self-affirmations. Stop beating yourselves up. Right? Start telling yourself what you like about yourself. What are you good at? And stop beating yourself up. Hobbies, activities, interests. What do you like to do? What do you have a passion for, right? Don't do things that you don't like, If you don't, I don't like cooking. Well, why are you taking a cooking class, Or I love cooking, but I haven't had time to take that cooking class. Well, what are you waiting for, right? Don't wait. You love something, you have a passion for something, pursue it. Go do it. Life is too short, right? Okay, develop and utilize the mindfulness tools. All right, now we're gonna move to our next screen, which we're gonna talk about mindfulness. I define mindfulness, here, and I'll read it to you. Conscious state of awareness of the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. So it's basically a stay in the moment type of thing. Because why? Because the angst that we experience can take us into all these different places, right? It can take us into our past. We have shame, guilt, resentment about things that have happened, things that we've done, things that have happened to us. We can have angst about the future, racing thoughts, dread about what may or may not happen tomorrow or next week or next month. So mindfulness is a techniques and tools that help us to stay in the moment and stop our minds from racing everywhere. It's relaxation, certainly if you're dealing with anxiety. So what I did was, there's a lot of different mindfulness techniques and tools, and we don't have enough time to do, like I said, this could be another hour seminar right here. But what I did do is I gave us an example of a deep breathing and relaxation technique. Which it's quick to learn. It's easy. Anybody can do it. You don't need any tools. You don't need any to buy anything. So let's just go through this one at a time. And then what I'll do is we'll actually do it for a few seconds. And if you guys are watching along and you can do it with me, that's great. And you'll see how great, how good you'll feel and how it actually works in real time. So find a time and space for personal reflection, right? And this is not easy to do in our days, right? It's a busy day. So what we have to do is we have to find a quiet space and time to reflect on what's going on in our lives. Where have we been? Where am I? Where do I want to be? Find a comfortable and relaxing position and clear your mind. That could be, you like to stand, then stand. You want to sit, then sit. Some people do, they do, these things with the palms up, or they just find your comfortable spot. Okay. Clearing your mind, taking, now you can use Pandora, Spotify, or YouTube. They have guided meditation, guided breathing programs, or you can just put on sounds of nature, or the waves crashing, or the rainstorm, or something like that. Close your mind. Closing your eyes usually helps you to focus, so close your eyes, and then try to put yourself into like a happy place, where figure out what your happy place is and put your mind in the happy place. For me, it's the beach. I love the beach. It's on a gorgeous day with the breeze blowing in and the sun, and then we're playing frisbee and we're going in or whatever. So what is your happy place? And think about that and close your eyes, and then think about your happy place and try to clear your mind and just put yourself there. The deep breathing is basically you breathe in. Now we usually breathe when we breathe from our chest up. What I want you to do is I want you to take that deep breath from the diaphragm down in deep, right? And you're going to breathe in through the nostrils for 2 seconds deeply. And then you're going to exhale through the mouth for 4 seconds, okay? So we're going to close our eyes, okay? And then we're going to start to breathe in deeply through our nostrils for 2 seconds, and breathing in. And then breathing out for 4 seconds. Your eyes are closed and you're in your happy place and you're just focused on where you are. Breathing in deep and breathing out. And breathing in deep and breathing out. We'll just breathe in one more time deep. And breathe out deep. Okay, now I want you to open up your eyes slowly. And, if you did, how do you feel? You feel pretty good, right? You got that lightheaded feeling because what you're doing is you're putting more oxygen into your brain. Now, typically you do this for 20 minutes or a half hour, and think about that. Think about how good you'd feel. So that's a simple tool we can do right away, every day, which can help us. I did want to define something that ties into the mindfulness, which is the concept of spirituality. I don't want to go into, we don't talk about, it doesn't have to be religion or God. You don't have to be religious or believe in God for spirituality. If God and religion is your spirituality, well, that's great, right? But it doesn't have to be, right? So this is a basic definition here, which is a recognition of a feeling, sense, or belief that there is something greater than myself out there. So you're part of something bigger, right? And, it's like, is there a power out there greater than me? And your higher power can be anything as long as it's not you. I wrote it through thing, having faith, believing in something that's not there, you can't put your senses on. Karma is a big thing I believe in. That which you put out into the universe is what you get back. Helping thy neighbor, do something nice for somebody else. And just doing the right thing, doing the right thing. Do unto others as you would have done to you. We've heard all these things, but if we practice that in our daily routine, it really does help. Okay, moving forward, we do have the wellness wheel again. I know we talked about this at length in our last workshop last month, but I did want to touch on it again for those of you who didn't see it. The wellness wheel basically it's the pies of life. This is all your areas of your life. And the wheel ties them all together. And what they're saying is that, each part of your life affects the other. So how well are you, in each pie, and if you're struggling financially or if you just lost your job, that's going to affect everything, right? So that I do have a definition of wellness at the top there, which is the quality or state of being healthy in body, mind, and spirit. As the result of deliberate effort and as an actively pursued goal. So it's an actively pursued goal, which means it's something that has to be done on a daily basis. That's how the wellness wheel works. And as you can see, there's a scale there. So you guys, when you're done, you can practice this, go to each area of your life and use the scale, 0 being the least well, 5 being the most well. Take each area of your life and see where you are right now and see what areas you'd like to work on. That's the wellness wheel. We're moving along here. We do have quickly Maslow's hierarchy of needs because Crystal is going next, and she's got some great tools and coping skills for you as well. Maslow, he came up with this hierarchy of needs. Anybody who's taken Psychology 101 or whatever, but basically it is saying that, each level has to be achieved. You have to achieve the bottom level to get to the next level. So there's 5 levels of the pyramid. The first level, of course, is basic needs: food, shelter, clothing, water. Then we move, once you get that, you have the next level up, which is safety, right? Do we feel safe? We can have a home and live in a home. Maybe the home's not safe. Maybe we don't have power, or there's, roaches crawling around. Next level is belongingness and love. Love and belonging, right? Feeling a part of something, connectedness, love, very important. Moving up to the 4th level, which is self-esteem, feeling, how do we feel about ourselves, right? Do we have that core belief in ourselves that we're not good enough? And so that once we get to those 4 levels and we achieve those 4 levels, now we can self-actualize. And self-actualization, as it says on the pyramid, achieving one's full potential. But it's a constant, right? We're constantly striving to achieve one's potential. So I will leave you with this, and then we're going to move to Crystal. Remember this as you move forward in life, guys, for today. If you failed today or if you succeeded today, you are not, that doesn't define you, right? What defines you is what you do next in life, okay? If you failed today or if you didn't achieve the goal you wanted to achieve today, then how are you going to react to that tomorrow? You're going to get up and try again. And if you succeeded today, are you just going to say, well, I did good today, I'm not going to do anything tomorrow? No, we got to wake up tomorrow and we got to keep moving forward. Okay, with that, I have talked way too much, which is usually what I do, and I apologize, but we are going to hand it off to my lovely, gorgeous, talented, and creative wife, Crystal.
Thank you, David. And he said that just so he could watch tomorrow night's football game. Anyway, okay, so great to be here again with everyone. The second half of our presentation is going to focus on play and mindfulness activities that children, adults, families can engage in, as well as the benefits of play. when we think of play, we tend to think about something that children engage in. As adults, we forget or lose that playful part of us due to daily life stressors and the thinking and feeling that we simply don't have time for playing. The thing is, the longer we go without engaging in play or in fun, the more we lose that inner child inside of us. This begins then the process of losing balance, which is something David was kind of speaking about. And then in losing balance, we begin to experience negative consequences, such as loss of connection to self and others, and negative impacts on our physical and mental health. So we want to find ways to bring back that playful side of us by engaging in the ridiculous, the silly, and the messy. Now, of course, this does not mean that tomorrow I want you guys sending joke emails to your boss, or if you go into the office, placing a whoopee cushion on your, coworker's chair. Use your judgment, know your audience. However, should you let loose and go wild, please feel free to send me the video. You have my email. Okay, so play. Let's look at the definition and the happy family jumping up in the air here. Engage in an activity for enjoyment and recreation rather than a serious or practical purpose. Playfulness, the quality of being lighthearted or full of fun. Okay, so the benefits of play. Okay, so if you look at the benefits of play, there's a lot of crossover between children and adults. Just to read off a few, for adults, relieves stress, increases creativity, increases energy, improves problem-solving skills, provides temporary escape. You get to use your imagination, helps with memory. For children, builds imagination, increases creativity, improves social skills with peers, improves problem-solving skills, helps them work through any trauma, helps with communication skills, physical activity, also helps with emotional development and regulation and memory as well. For families, okay, improve relationships, improve conflict resolution, improve communication, model social behaviors, and a chance to relax and create natural teachable moments. Okay, let's see. I'm looking this. Okay, so Patrick, if we could please go to full screen and take the PowerPoint out, that'd be awesome. Okay, so I believe you all were sent the PowerPoint or will have access to the PowerPoint at some point. And if and when you do, you will see there's a slide that will have a list of activities that you can look at. But because I'm going to be showing you things and demonstrating things, I needed the whole screen. So as I said, I provided a brief list in the PowerPoint of activities you can try at home with minimal cost and using items you probably already have in the home. I chose to focus on this area as there were some questions during our last webinar about how to help children with anxiety and keep them busy. Now, the items and activities I'm going to show you are going to vary in age and usefulness. At the end of the day, you know your child and can determine if it is an appropriate activity and something they will enjoy doing. What is great is that the activities can always be modified to cater to each child. The most important thing is you have to be okay with mess. So have a card table or table that will clean easily, buy cheap table covers that can be thrown away, place a painter's tarp underneath the table to protect your floor and rug. None of us wants to be vacuuming up sand for a year, as we have done with glitter and Christmas tree needles. Okay, so now for the fun part of our program. So I'm going to run through some items and kind of show you and try to explain a little bit about how they can be used and how they can help. So just to start off on the list, I mentioned board games, Clue, chess, checkers, Monopoly, the game that goes on forever. In fact, I think I'm still in a game from 1992. twisters, charades, sand trays. Sand trays are fabulous. Sand trays are good for using imagination. And I will tilt this down so you can see just a little bit. There we go. Are good for imagination. And they're also good because the sand is very relaxing. It's tactile. So just simply running their hands through the sand can be very relaxing. Throw in a couple of their toys where they can take their little Matchbox car, drive it through the sand, take their little person, you know, and do all kinds of things in the sand. Lots of fun. Now, this is a grainy, very easy, very hard to vacuum up type of sand. However, there is also moon sand or kinetic sand. This is a good sand. This holds better and clumps better. I also like this because if the children want to build castles or caves and things, this is easy to mold. Again, it's a different type of texture. So just the simple, you know, rubbing through the fingers can be very relaxing. The other thing, as I mentioned, using the imagination is if you can, which I'm sure you all do who have younger children, have a bunch of cars, people, you know, little things, you can talk to your children about maybe creating a story inside the sand tray and then having them tell you the story that they've created with their people and their sand. So, multiple uses and much better. Okay, then the other thing is tactile bins. Again, this is a sensory type thing, but can be very good for anxiety. Now, I chose a small bin. You can choose whatever size bin you like. And in this bin, I chose 3 different materials. The first is puffed wheat, like the cereal, regular puffed wheat. The second, dried beans, kidney beans. And the third, dried white rice. Again, tactile. Just the mere running their hands through it can be very relaxing. I can tell you that I enjoy doing it. It's very relaxing to me. Again, you have to know your child, and you may want to be around and monitor this type of activity so that you don't end up in urgent care having to explain how a dry kidney bean was accidentally misplaced. Okay. Books on tape or books on whatever we use nowadays are great. And if you have those noise canceling headphones, those are really great. Again, canceling out all of the activity that's going on in the house is helpful. It's also good if you don't want to hear the list of chores that your spouse has to do for you. But yeah, if you have these are a great tool to use for children so they can focus. Okay, wet cotton ball game. Okay, so you can see behind me, this is weird because it's kind of backwards. There's a target, a roughly drawn target, okay? You can draw a target or you can make flashcards with WH questions. Who, what, where, how, who, what, where, why, and when. Now, the good way to do this, the best way to do this, is to get the largest cotton balls you can possibly find, okay? Now, you're going to want to, if you don't have a whiteboard, you can use heavy cardboard, or if you have a sturdy window. This is really good. What you would do is you'd have a bowl of water, they would wet the cotton ball, and you would mark a line, you know, for a certain amount of distance, and then they would get to chuck the wet cotton ball at the board. Hopefully it sticks. I'm sitting right here. It's not going to stick. Now, this is a great game for just it being a game. It's also good if children are experiencing anger and they need to get it out. Just the act of the throwing as hard as they can to get that cotton ball to stick. This is a way for them to kind of just work out all that negative energy. If you use the WH question cards, it could be a good family game because if whatever cotton ball whatever card the cotton ball lands on, that person has to ask another player a question. So it can be kind of a fun family game and even a get to know you kind of game, and can start some family discussion, which is very cool. Ceramics, certainly always a big winner. Baking or non-baking baking. Bird's nest, apple faces, apple donuts. Okay, so here you can see a semi-bird's nest, not very well done, but nonetheless. All it is chocolate, melted chocolate and pretzels. Mix it together, there's your nest, and then you find some bird eggs or birds or something to put in it. It's a nice little snack. Let's see, we've got your apple faces, apple donuts, so all very good. Certainly, if you go online, you can find a lot of different ways to make these things with healthier ingredients than I chose, which are Nestle chocolate chips, but I have a sweet tooth, and here we are. Okay. Also, another big winner, and your kids might like this, is creating their own snack mix. And here I've got animal crackers, pretzels, Chex cereal, cranberries, all kinds of good stuff in here. It's a great snack, and you know, they can make it on their own, be a little independent. So that's good. Candy molds. These are the best. You can find these online, and I think at Michael's or Party City might carry them. Usually they can be found in the aisle with all those different colored bags of chocolates. These are great for as a long activity, an activity that will take a great deal of time if they really get into it. And you can see, I didn't get that creative. I didn't have all the colors, but nonetheless. So we have our chocolate covered pretzel and our emoji face. Oh, here we go. Lollipops. So again, another great activity, minimal mess, takes a while. It's great. Next, Jenga. Now many of us have played Jenga, but have you played Jenga with questions? So what you will do is you would take a Jenga set, and on the inside, you would write questions, just a random set of questions. But when you stack the pieces, you're not going to be able to see the questions from the outside. So whoever, you know, as you're going along and picking your block, you have to answer the question that's on that block. So again, another good family activity, get everybody talking. Oh, of course, an oldie but a goodie, popsicle sticks. Fabulous. Your popsicle stick box, great gift for grandmas and aunts. Could be a little treasure box, could be a jewelry box. You got your lid here, decorated any way they want. Not hard to do. Again, it takes some time to do it. So there we go. Let's see, fort building. I'm not going to build a fort as I have very little room around me. However, the good thing about fort building is, especially in times like this, when there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, for children to be able to pick a spot in the home that can be their own, and where they can put a little tent or a big giant, you know, one of those big pillows and maybe some of their favorite things. And that's the spot they can go to when they feel anxious or maybe angry or overwhelmed. It's their safe space, if you will. So that's a great thing to have. Now, in terms of mindfulness for kids, if you have little ones, you can find these online. They have printable, there we go. They have printable sheets like this. And essentially what you're doing is the child is following the path of the bunny by inhaling and exhaling and getting bunny all the way to the end. So very cool thing to do. There's also, here's one with a star, breathe in, breathe out, all the way as you're going along the star. And there's several different types of these. Again, you can Google them, find them online. It's a great activity, especially for the little ones. Paint by number. They have paint by number for adults now, which is fabulous. You don't have to think about color palettes and things. You just use the color that they tell you to use, frame it, hang it on the wall. People come over, they say, wow, that's a beautiful painting. You say, thank you, I did it. If they come over, they say, well, that's rather cute. You say, thank you, the children did it. And on we go. Okay. For adults, this is a little bit more for adults, maybe teens. Affirmation stones. These are little stones that you can find again in Michael's craft store. And what people will do sometimes is write a word on there, like breathe, release, relax. Some people tend to carry them with them, especially those with anxiety, put them in their pocket. And whenever they're feeling anxious, they can rub the stone. And it seems to help maybe soothe a little bit. So that's another good idea. If you want to be really creative, you can buy a bunch of these, write different words, put them on a platter, and then put like a scented candle in the middle. Lavender. Lavender is good for anxiety. So that's another idea. You can do bowling with cups, you know, paper cups, plastic cups, stack them up. If you have a soft ball in your house, easy bowling. Don't need to go out and buy these bowling kits. Line them up, strike them down. Community cookbook. Now this is something neighbors, friends can get together and do. Everybody pick a recipe and let's put together, for lack of a better word, a COVID cookbook, a community cookbook of your favorite recipes. Children might like to get in on that as well, maybe do the illustrations for them. That would certainly be exciting. There is also, I'm beginning to feel like I'm on QVC for some reason. I'm getting that feeling. Anyway, another mindfulness activity. This is, oops, I got that. Little Renegades mindful cards. These are great for little ones. It gives you a breathing exercise or a stretching exercise to do on the front, and then on the back of the card are further questions, like follow-up questions. These are really great to do with your little ones, very easy, and so I would highly recommend them. Okay, what else have I got? So much stuff in front of me. Okay. Oop, Ready Whip. Not just a dessert topping. Okay, again, we want to make sure we have plastic throwaway tablecloth. Shake it up. Squirt it out. Now you're thinking, why is she doing it? She's wasting a perfectly good dessert topping. Well, because for some children, again, getting back to that textural thing, playing with this can be very relaxing. And yes, I'm going to do it. So they would take it in their hand. Just simply doing something like this can be very relaxing. Smearing it around on the table, taking their cars and driving it through like they're driving through snow or something like that. Very good. Back in the day when I first started working with children, we used to use shaving cream, which, you know, wasn't so good because for the rest of the day, my hands smelled like Barbasol shaving cream. So we've moved up. Okay, so that's the Ready Whip. Now, you think that stops there. It doesn't. Here we have in a bowl chocolate pudding. You're thinking, nah, she won't do that. Yeah, she did. Okay. So somewhere David is thinking that I'm wasting some perfectly good chocolate pudding. Okay, again, it's messy. We know. But so what? So there's mess. And the good thing is with the Ready Whip and the pudding, if you have a child that wants to get curious, it's safe to put in the mouth. So I I think I ran through, oh no, I didn't. I did not. 2 more things, I promise. I promise I'm going fast here. Okay. Tube of toothpaste. Any toothpaste will do. Get a piece of paper, squirt, have the children, it's like a game. Get all the toothpaste out of the tube, all over. And then challenge them to take a toothpick and try to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Now, is it fun? Absolutely. But it can also be a lesson, because as you have children at home, siblings who are arguing and maybe saying some things that are not nice, the follow-up lesson to this is, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? Well, it's hard to take back something mean that you said to your brother or sister. The same thing. See? And finally, because I am extremely sticky right now, if you have, and I'm not sure, community school, I don't know if this is possible, but if you can get your hands on, and again, online, you can print it out, use cardstock, and get everybody in on making their own little person. And you can call it the chain of hope. Have the children write some hopeful messages as we go through this together, and see how many you can get on a chain. Maybe there's a community center to hang it up, a library, I don't know. But this would be a great community project to do. So I think I've gone through it all, and I've made quite the mess here. So my friend Patrick, can David join us again? And could you please bring up the next to last slide? There we go. Okay. So those of you who are old enough, you're having some flashbacks now. I can see it as you look at these pictures from way back when of our favorite cartoons. And I promise you, when this is over, you will be humming the tunes to one of those programs. I promise you. Okay. So I don't know where David is. Hopefully David is working out how he can get himself back up on the screen. But we hope you all have enjoyed this evening's presentation, and we'll be able to walk away with not just information, but how to get to the next step, which is implementation. That you're able to work towards a better life balance, to be able to let go and just play and have fun. And most of all, we hope that you remember to be mindful, be playful, be together, and most of all, be in the moment.
Well,
David, any last words?
First of all, I feel like it's like Hermione and Harry Potter. I mean, you got that little bag. Well, you're going to pull out a building out of that bag. How much? It's unbelievable. How many games? It's amazing how many games you just came up with. Fabulous. I see someone typed a question in there. Any suggestions for activities for older adults and seniors? I jotted down a few. Certainly that are a lot of fun, and charades. I mean, charades is a lot of fun. Pictionary. Trivial Pursuit, even trivia night, come up and, have a group of people and make teams. You can do that on Zoom, by the way. So there are definitely some really good ideas for adults and even older adults. I mean, certainly older adults, if they like to play bingo or bridge or pinochle or mahjong, whatever the heck the older people like to do, they're available. Through Zoom you can do it. Okay, great. Are we going to open up for questions here, guys, or what's the story, Patrick and Liz? Well, we typically do. Oh, here we go. Hi, Liz.
Well, wait. We have. Oh, there she is. Hi, Liz.
No,
Liz, we can't hear you.
No, still can't hear you.
Nope, can't hear you.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
I think that was the only question that had come in, David, asking about additional activities for seniors, and I think we gave some really great options.
Okay. So, if there's no other questions, again, we thank everyone for joining us this evening. We thank everyone for supporting this great organization. They do a lot of great work, and we're happy that
Cr-
they
Crystal,
welcomed us
real
aboard.
quick, because you came up with so many different ideas. Is there, if somebody's interested they can contact you and you can come up with, you give them more specifics on some of those things?
Yes. Again, I'm not sure what the situation is with the PowerPoint, if it's going to be accessible or if it went out already. But contact information is on the PowerPoint. And you can certainly always go to our website, blueskycounselingassociates.com, and the contact information is on there as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, except for how to make my spouse clean the leaves out of the gutter.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, I would just love to thank you both so very much for sharing all of this wonderful information with us tonight. And Crystal, it was amazing. I can't even imagine how you had these wonderful piles of food and pudding and whipped cream, surrounding you. But all of these tools and the ideas that you shared are so important to families that are spending so much time at home.
Yeah.
And I love that these are a lot of the options that you gave are the things that can be found around the home. So thank you so
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to everyone who joined us tonight, I want to thank you for taking the time, for participating in this webinar. And I would like to remind you that you will be receiving a recording of the webinar via email shortly. And you will also receive a link in that email to hashtag Walk the Talk, which is our fundraising walk that's going on, virtual walk that's going on for the entire month of October. So we encourage you to walk safely on your own time. Feel free to join us at our pop-up walk this Saturday at the Jefferson Valley Mall from 10:30 to 12:30. And I hope we will see you next Wednesday for Webinar Wednesday. So thank you all again, and I wish you and your families good health.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.